I'm Eytan Shander with Awesemo as we give you 3 plays for Monday Night Football, and it's going to be a doozy here between the Browns and the Steelers on PrizePicks. We found some value for you. Also, how about this for value? Click those links below. When you click and sign up for PrizePicks, we're going to match your first deposit up to $100, and we're going to give you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, let's get things going here on this Monday night. We expect a lot of running from both sides. Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, both teams are better served by running the football. So that game flow is going to mean less throwing for Ben Roethlisberger. We'll start there. We're going to go under 220.5. And it's not a big number, I think, by any means. But again, a lot of this is about the expectation of quick throws to Najee Harris, not taking a bunch of shots downfield. Cleveland's defense going to keep them in the game. And the pressure on Roethlisberger that should come here, it's not even so much that he's been throwing for a ton of yards this year either. When you look at what we've seen recently, when you do have a lot of attempts. I mean, you come off a game against the Chiefs where he had no choice but to throw the football 35 times, couldn't even get to 160 yards. Before that, threw 25 times in a win and couldn't even get to 150. So you do have the 300 spread throughout every randomly, I think twice throughout this regular season. The majority of wins are coming from low 200s. And in this game against Cleveland, where you're better off not only keeping, or I should say not keeping Baker Mayfield, but keeping that Browns rushing attack off the field. We always talk about teams that hold on to the football to keep a big, bad quarterback off the field. In Pittsburgh's case, they're best served by running the football, running that clock down to keep Nick Chubb off the field. So on that same vein, as we go under 220.5 in the air for Ben Roethlisberger, we expect somewhere in that high 100s. Najee Harris should have a big game on the ground. He is at 67.5 on PrizePicks. Pretty significant difference because on the books, you're going to get somewhere around 71.5, 72.5. So jump in now on PrizePicks and go over that 67.5. Alex and Awesemo on OddsShopper have Harris projected just north of 69 yards. I can easily see this thing going higher than that, somewhere in the high 70s. And then all you need is one big run to break that and really push that over. We still, on site, have this as a higher number than 65.5 on the ground. And it makes sense because Cleveland is going to be busy trying to slow down Harris, both on the ground and in the air. And while you may get a pass or two to soften up the Browns defense, definitely a lot of Harris, and expect a lot of carries, a lot of touches for Najee Harris. He's the main vehicle. And if we go under that 220.5 for Roethlisberger, it just makes sense that you're going to get a lot more touches for Najee Harris. So over 67.5, absolutely for Harris. Our final play, again, going back to the Steelers here, where we're going under Diontae Johnson receiving yards. It's a little lower than what the books have. In fact, it's dipped significantly. Johnson was at 75.5 receiving yards versus PrizePicks. That's dipped it down to 68.5. But here's the kicker. You're thinking, wow, that's a pretty big yardage gap right there. No, in fact, we still, Alex and Awesemo still have Johnson finishing under the number that PrizePicks has. It's a little sharper, mind you, at 68.5. But the projection is still at 66, in that 66 range. So I think there's some maneuverability here to go under, especially because if it's a yard, if it's 5 yards, if it's 100 yards, we need this thing to go under. So the margin is not necessarily a big issue for me, so much more as does the game script allow Johnson to be phased out, not necessarily targeted as much? Absolutely. If we love Harris going over, if we love Big Ben going under, then it just makes sense to fade Johnson's receiving yards total, especially because just don't think Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a lot of time to throw as much as the Steelers think. So this is a game script play here. We gave you 3 on the card on PrizePicks, under 220.5 for Big Ben in the air, over 67.5 rushing yards for Najee Harris, and then under Diontae Johnson, 68.5 receiving yards. Put them in a flex play. If you hit 2 of 3, you'll win 1 at a quarterback. Hit all 3, and you'll win 2 at a quarterback, what you put in. If you want a bigger payout, that's what PrizePicks calls the power play. Now, you must hit all 3, and if you do correctly, you'll win 5 times your entry fee. Click that link below. We're going to do two things. Match your first deposit up to $100 and give you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I'm Eytan Shander. Have a great night.